Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Me Too Ministry page. I'm Tamisha Edmondson, the originator of the page. As always, it's great to be able to do this once again. I'm also elated that I'm out here to be able to take in all of the wondrous works of God. When He gave me the vision for this page, I didn't have a backdrop, a place to do this at, or anything like this. And God said that His grace is sufficient. His presence is enough. And so I find God in the wind blowing, in the blowing of the leaves, in the water, in the trees, in the grass. And I don't want to get too far in it. I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be able to do this once again. As always, if you're new to this page, I want to go ahead and give you a little background information. Me Too Ministry started years ago, and it came from a question that's posed in faith-based communities, and I don't care what capacity you're served or in what religious aspect you're practicing. You're going to be asked the question, how are you? How are things going? And our natural conditioned responses are going to be along the lines of, oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. All is well. Things are good. And that's what we as a society would like the public to know, or want our fellow man to know, is that things are going well outwardly. Internally, the people are hurting. The people of God are hurting. Things are chaotic and problematic in our lives or in our minds, in our finances, on our jobs, with our children. And so this is where Me Too comes from. It's simply saying, listen, although I want to tell you that things are going well, I have problems. I have issues. I have shortcomings. You have them. Me too. You have issues on your job. Me too. You have issues with your finances. Me too. Your kids are chaotic. Mine too. So it's a faith-based support group that comes. We meet once a week around 10 a.m. on Fridays, and we kind of just hash out the week's problems. And that's where the goal is to become is a support group. Right now, we're doing this on the internet, on all social media platforms, because I am excited about the things that God is doing, and I know that this is God ordained. And so I'm just starting. I'm starting, and I'm trusting and believing God and where He's going to take this. And so we meet once weekly, and we have various topics that are discussed, and so those topics also come from God. I can only give you what He gives me, right? And I try really hard not to give you anything else than what God gives me. I try not to operate in my ideas and my thought processes. I go to God and I ask Him, and He is faithful to give me a word. And so this particular word, if you had been following for the week, the title is His Ways, His Will, Not Mine. And so, and also said at the beginning of the year that I want to be really intentional with everything that God is doing in my life and doing through me. And so in the spirit of intentionality, you may not see me engaging eye to eye with this video. I'm going to look and I'm going to be reading from a script, because I want to get this out. I want this to be received as clearly as God gave it to me to speak it, right? So let's go ahead with this. Okay. So today's conversation comes from another personal place. I don't know if everyone has these thoughts, but I most certainly do. As I set out on my journey to find out what God's will for my life was, I was often met with tasks that did not line up with what my goals, dreams, and the visions for myself was. My goals, my dreams, my aspirations never consisted on speaking at a podium. It never consisted of me speaking on any social media platforms. I feel like that's public, and I'm above all, I'm everything except a public person. So this has to be God ordained as well, right? And I wrestle with even wanting to come I wrestled with the thought of even continuing on in church, because I found out early what God's will for my life was. And it was going to be along the lines of publicly speaking. And it may not be just speaking to the masses. I wrestled with speaking in a small setting, in a small group. This right here is huge for me. And so I continue with even wanting to continue to go to church, because I knew God's will for my life, and I was wanting to run from it. And so because of that fear, before God got me to this place, I knew that my thoughts and my thought processes was, one of the fears that I had was nobody's going to listen to what I have to say because of where I was. And, you know, oftentimes when you're led to do things of God, it's going to be most certainly around the people that knew you before you came into his will, right? When you were in the world, certain people knew what you were in the world. And so when you picked up the task of, okay, God, your will, your ways are not my ways, and your thoughts are not my thoughts, and I choose you, those same people that are in the world choose to watch you in God. And so that was one of my fears, was they're not going to listen to anything that I have to say. They're going to be judgy. They're not going to believe what this is all about, right? Because they're going to say, oh, I know exactly who she is, right? So you see, but here's the thing about it. Not only did they know who I was, God knew. God knew exactly who I was, because who he created me to be. Before I was formed in my mother's womb, God knew me. So I shouldn't have been worried about what people thought. I should be mindful of what I just said, how faithful, how merciful God is. And so also with that, see how I just threw those Bible verses out there? Well, if I want to choose to believe some parts of the Bible, I have to be big enough to believe all parts of the Bible. So I can't just believe that God led Moses to use Moses to lead the Israelites out of slavery, right? I believe that wholeheartedly, but I also have to believe in his word, and especially in Ephesians 2:10, which reads, for we are his workmanship, created in Jesus Christ for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. That's my will. I mean, that's his will for my life. Those are his ways. That was the plan that was set before me. I'm not going to just believe that God used Moses if I can't believe that God is using me, and that I'm supposed to be created for that right there. I could quote that scripture in this live right now. Once again, the title for this week was his will, his ways, not mine. And if I had any question about that, then that scripture I just quoted kind of was a game changer. I was created for his purpose, his will, his path, not my own. You remember there was a quote that's in the world that says, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Right. We weren't created by ourselves or for ourselves. We were created for him and his glory. But now listen, it took me a long time to come to this place in God to where I'm able to say that confidently. It took me a long time to enter into this place in God. I battled for years mentally and spiritually with accepting this path. Like I said, I hid for many years, right? One of the reasons why I hid is, once again, because I knew that my goals, my dreams, and my aspirations that I had for myself did not line up with God's, right? I knew that. And I had so many big dreams and so many goals that I aspired to accomplish in myself. But how dare I be so selfish just to tell God that I know that you came to give me an abundant life, but I'm going to live this abundant life the way I want to. When I knew what I was created for. How dare me tell my creator, I know you made me for your will, for your purpose, but I'm going to do this thing the way I want it done. Crazy, right? But here's the thing about it. I'm so thankful that God gave me another chance, because newsflash, it didn't pan out like that. It never does. My ways led me down a path of destruction repeatedly, time and time again. The goals that I set out to accomplish by myself came with pandemonium, pure chaos. They came with a price of manipulations and deceit. That was all I created for myself. Not because I adhered to God's wise counsel, not because I was willing to acknowledge that his ways were not my ways and his thoughts were not my thoughts. All of that happened because I chose to live this life that God blessed me to have the way I wanted to. Now, in this season of my life, where I feel like I have fully surrendered to God, now I can truly say, peace is where I lie. Peace is where I dwell. What does complete surrender look like in God? Peaceful. He's right. His ways are not my ways, and his thoughts are not my thoughts. Now, sidebar. I'm not saying that I'm always dwelling in the dandelion and daffodil fields. I still have moments where I fall. I still have seasons of inadequacies, and I still have areas in my life where I have shortcomings. But remember, this is what this ministry, Me Too, is all about. It's about me getting on this platform and saying, listen, I don't have this thing called life altogether, but it does not mean that I do not wake up and strive to be the all God has created me to be. It means that I'm willing to deny myself and kill this daily, this flesh daily, if that makes sense. So this is what we all about, is saying that, you know what? I've adhered to God's ways, and I receive what he has, all things good, over my life. And, you know, I just wanted to come on here and say that I hope it reached the people that was supposed to reach, and I hope that it was conveyed in the way that it should be conveyed. And I hope that this inspires somebody in some way, right? Once again, we meet here each week around 10 a.m. And as God is allowing me to, we're on several platforms. We're on Facebook. We have a Me Too Ministry page there. I also have a YouTube channel called the Me Too Ministry, and we also post on TikTok. Now, if you have a topic, by all means, reach out. If you have a comment, by all means, reach out. And there are several ways you can also do that. You can comment on any video or any post that you see. You can inbox on the Me Too Ministries page on Facebook. You can message me on TikTok. But I also have an email address, and that's themetooministry@gmail.com. Once again, themetooministry on gmail.com, at gmail.com. THE.ME, the number 2, MINISTRY at gmail.com. THE.ME, the number 2, .MINISTRY at gmail.com. I thank you so much for your time. God bless. We'll see you here next week.